Just remind us, who is Jimmy Lai and why is this trial so significant?
Jimmy Lai is a self-made millionaire. He made his money in fashion. He's born in China, but he's been a British citizen since 1996. He founded the now-defunct Apple Daily tabloid and for decades was a very high-profile champion of the city's ill-fated pro-democracy movement. As you say, accused now of breaking the Beijing-imposed national security law, facing life in prison. But it's significant because after, I'd say, Joshua Wong, he's probably the most famous activist behind bars here. Some say the most prominent political prisoner. Going into closing arguments now, it's sparking concern again from NGOs, European leaders, the US president last week. But bear in mind, he was effectively prevented from hiring his own lawyer, a top British lawyer, Timothy Owen. There is no jury in this case. And the judges are handpicked by the city's leader, John Lee. Nevertheless, he's pleaded not guilty.
What exactly is Jimmy Lai accused of under Hong Kong's national security law, Tom?
Well, there's two counts: taking part in a conspiracy to collude with foreign forces under the security law, and also for conspiring to publish seditious material under a colonial-era law, meaning prosecutors say he unlawfully used Apple Daily to encourage the public to protest back in 2019. He's also accused of being the so-called mastermind and financial supporter of an advocacy group, Fight for Freedom, Stand with Hong Kong, which is lobbying for international sanctions against Hong Kong and China, and some have been imposed. He's been on trial since 2023, at which point he'd already spent 1,000 days in custody. And his detention took place just after Apple Daily was forced to close in 2021. Senior staff were arrested and that newsroom was raided, its assets frozen. But yeah, this week we're nearing day 150. It was meant to be an 80-day trial, and we'll be hearing closing arguments from defence in the next day or two.
What's the atmosphere like in Hong Kong these days, Tom, for journalists, for business people, for citizens of Hong Kong?
Well, Hong Kong hasn't seen a large-scale protest in the 5 years of the security law. We last year had a new locally legislated security law as well. So I'd call the atmosphere quite quiet. You're not going to hear, much criticism of what's going on. But people do queue up in the rain at the Jimmy Lai trial. Over the last few years, we've seen 1,000 journalists out of work. There's been other newsrooms raided as well. News outlets disbanded. Journalists other than Jimmy have been jailed. Under this new security law era, there have been dozens of civil society groups disbanded, patriot education in schools, censorship of library books. These are just some of the stories we have been following during this crackdown. But most of the political opposition are quite simply behind bars. They've quit politics or they're in self-exile, including Ted Hui, who Australia actually gave asylum to over the weekend.
How has the new national security laws, how have they changed life and freedoms in Hong Kong since the introduction?
Well, it criminalised subversion, succession, collusion with foreign forces and terrorist acts, which were broadly defined to include disruption to transport and other infrastructure. The police got sweeping powers, civil society groups, trade partners raising the alarm. But critics say it's been used to broadly silence and punish dissent, as similar laws have in China. Then again, the authorities say that it has restored stability and peace to the city. But like I say, there have been no expressions of large-scale dissent since.
And that's Tom Grundy, the editor-in-chief and the founder of Hong Kong Free Press.